The crowd in the community square went silent when Chief Mrs. Grace's convoy arrived. 7 black SUVs with tinted windows, police sirens wailing like war drums, armed officers jumping out like an invasion. But what made everyone freeze wasn't the show of force, it was who stepped out of the led vehicle. Chief Mrs. Grace Adamy. Herself, she wore white, virgin white, pure white. The kind of white that cost more than most people's yearly rent. Her gold jewelry caught the morning sun, throwing light like scattered coins. Behind her stood Reverend Mother Patricia, still in her holy robes, and behind them both, the Commissioner of Police himself. "My dear people," Chief Mrs. Grace's voice was honey and poison mixed together. "I heard there was some confusion here, some wild stories being spread by a confused child." She looked directly at Adoni. Her smile could have frozen hell. "This poor girl," she continued, walking forward with slow, careful steps. "She went missing for days. Her father must be so worried, and now she returns with these terrible lies." Papa David pushed Adoni behind him. "Stay away from my daughter." "Your daughter?" Chief Mrs. Grace tilted her head. "The daughter who ran away. The daughter who probably took drugs and is now hallucinating, talking about being transformed into a goat." Laughter from some of the police officers. But not from the crowd. The parents of missing children stood firm, their pain stronger than fear. "Then explain this." Mama Sidi stepped forward. Her son had vanished 3 months ago. "Why do all our children disappear after finding money? Why do they never come back?" "Lagos is dangerous." The commissioner spoke for the first time. His voice was deep, official, final. "Children run away. Children get trafficked. We investigate every case, but we cannot chase goat stories." Then something happened that nobody expected. A woman pushed through the police line, not just any woman, the commissioner's wife. "Where is Kemi?" She screamed at her husband. "Where is our daughter?" The commissioner's face changed. "Rita, go home. You're embarrassing yourself." "Embarrassing?" Rita's voice cracked. "Our daughter disappeared 2 weeks ago. You told me she went to London. You showed me fake documents, but I know she never got on that plane." The crowd stirred like a waking giant. Whispers spread like wildfire. The commissioner's own daughter missing. "She's confused," the commissioner said quickly. "My wife hasn't been well, but Rita wasn't done. Kemi called me that last day, said she found 10,000 naira, said she was lucky." Tears streaming down her face. That was the last time I heard her voice. Chief Mrs. Grace's perfect composure cracked just a little. She whispered something to the commissioner. His hand moved to his gun. That's when Adoni understood the commissioner knew his own daughter was probably in that pen, transformed, waiting for sacrifice. And he was still protecting Chief Mrs. Grace. "Please," Rita fell to her knees. "I just want my baby back." "Arrest her," Chief Mrs. Grace said coldly. "Public disturbance." But the officers hesitated. Arresting the commissioner's wife, even they had limits. Then Elder appeared, not the goat elder, the human. He walked through the crowd like Moses parting the sea, an old man with dignity that suffering couldn't break. When Chief Mrs. Grace saw him, her face went white. "Impossible," she breathed. "Nothing is impossible with truth," Elder said. His real name was Professor Adeyemi, retired lecturer, who picked up money meant for his grandchild's surgery. "I charged you in that pen, you fell. I escaped in the chaos." He turned to the crowd. "I spent 5 months as a goat. 5 months watching people dragged out for sacrifice. 5 months of horror." His voice broke. "I saw children younger than my granddaughter. I saw mothers, I saw fathers, all transformed, all waiting to die." "Lies." Reverend Mother Patricia stepped forward. "This man is clearly mentally ill. Probably paid by enemies of progress. Chief Mrs. Grace is a pillar of this community." "Then let's go to the compound," Adoni said loudly. "Let's go right now and check. Let's see what's in that building behind the mansion." The crowd roared agreement, but Chief Mrs. Grace smiled that cold smile again. "Of course," she said. "I have nothing to hide, Commissioner. Escort these people to my compound. Let them see my goat farm. Yes, I keep goats for my charity work. We distribute meat to the poor." The trap was obvious, but what choice did they have? The convoy to Chief Mrs. Grace's compound was massive, hundreds of people following the police vehicles. Papa David held Adoni's hand tight. "This feels wrong," he whispered. Adoni knew it too, but they had come too far to stop. At the compound, the gates swung open wide. Chief Mrs. Grace played the perfect host. "Come, come," she said. "See everything, Inspector, show them around." They were led past the mansion, past the gardens, to the back section where Adoni had been held. The building was there, the same structure. But when they opened it, empty, completely empty. Not just empty. Clean, painted fresh like it was built yesterday. "My goat pen," Chief Mrs. Grace announced. "As you can see, perfectly normal. We had to clean it recently, preparing for new livestock." "No." Adoni ran inside. "They were here, dozens of them, right here." She pointed at the ground where Elder had scratched letters, where goats with human eyes had stood, where terror had lived. Nothing, no evidence. No sign. "The poor child," Chief Mrs. Grace said sadly. "Trauma can create such vivid hallucinations." But Adoni saw something others missed. A single brown hair caught in a crack in the wall. Goat hair. She grabbed it. "Wait," Professor Adeyemi said. "If this was just cleaned, where are the goats now? Where did you move them?" Chief Mrs. Grace never lost her smile. "They were sold yesterday to a farm in Ogun State. I can show receipts." "Then why does it still smell like fear?" Baba Effa appeared at the doorway. Nobody had seen him arrive. "Why do the walls still cry with the voices of the transformed?" He walked in slowly, touching the walls. "Blood here and here and here. You can paint over blood, but you cannot paint over spiritual stains." "Remove this madman," Chief Mrs. Grace ordered, but Baba Effa pulled out a small gourd. "Water from 7 rivers mixed under full moon." He sprinkled it on the walls. What happened next made everyone gasp. The walls began to bleed. Not blood exactly, but a dark red liquid seeping through the fresh paint. Forming shapes, letters, words, "Help us, save us." "We are still here." Names began appearing on the walls. Kemi Adebayo Chidiokoro, Fatima Bello. Dozens of names, names of the missing. The commissioner stared at his daughter's name written in what looked like blood on the white wall. His hand shook. "What kind of trick is this?" Chief Mrs. Grace's voice wasn't smooth anymore. "No trick," Baba Effa said. "The transformed leave marks, their essence soaks into the place of their captivity. You can move their bodies, but their spirits cry out for justice." More names appeared. Fresh ones. Adoni recognized some from missing person posters. The walls were becoming a memorial of the lost. Then they heard it, bleating faint but unmistakable, coming from somewhere below. "There's a basement," Adoni said with certainty. "I can feel it. They're underground." "Impossible," Chief Mrs. Grace said quickly. Too quickly. "This building has no basement. Check the plans." But the crowd was already searching, tapping walls, looking for hidden doors. And Professor Adeyemi found it, a section of floor that sounded hollow. Here. They pulled at the boards. Chief Mrs. Grace tried to stop them, but the crowd was beyond controlling. The commissioner stood frozen, torn between duty and the name of his daughter bleeding on the wall. The floor came up. The smell hit first, animal waste, fear, death. Then the sounds, bleating but rhythmic, almost like chanting, "Nobody goes down there," Chief Mrs. Grace commanded. "It's not safe." But Rita, the commissioner's wife, was already descending. "Kemi! Kemi, are you there?" Others followed, Adoni among them. The basement was massive, bigger than the building above, stretching into darkness, and in cages, goats. So many goats. But their eyes, their human eyes. Rita screamed, "That one! The white one with brown spots! She has Kemi's eyes! Oh God, she has my baby's eyes!" She ran to the cage, trying to open it. The goat inside made sounds that were almost words, almost, "Mama!" The crowd exploded. Parents recognizing their children in animal form. The basketball player's son now, a black goat with a limp. The beauty queen daughter, now a spotted goat with long lashes. The medical student, now a grey goat that moved with scholarly precision. "Get them out!" Someone screamed, "Get them all out!" But Chief Mrs. Grace laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "You fools," she said. "You think you've won? You think finding them means saving them? Go ahead, open the cages. See what happens." Papa David grabbed a crowbar. Someone had found tools. They pried open the first cage. The goat inside stepped out, then collapsed, convulsing foam at its mouth. "The transformation is bound to this place," Chief Mrs. Grace explained like a teacher giving a lesson. "They leave, they die, simple protection spell. I'm not stupid. No, Rita cradled the convulsing goat that had her daughter's eyes. "There must be a way. There is." Chief Mrs. Grace smiled. "They can leave as goats if I allow it, or as humans if I transform them back. But why would I do that?" "Because if you don't," the commissioner finally spoke, his voice broken, "I'll kill you myself." He pulled his service weapon, pointed it at the woman he'd protected for years. "John!" Chief Mrs. Grace didn't even blink. "Remember who made you commissioner. Remember who paid for your house, your cars, your children's education. My child is a goat!" he roared. "You turned my child into a goat!" "Your child was greedy, just like all of them. They took what wasn't theirs. The spell only works on the greedy. The pure-hearted would never pick up cursed money. She was 16. Old enough to know better." The gun shook in his hands, but Adoni saw the truth. He wouldn't shoot. Couldn't shoot. Years of corruption had made him weak. Then more sirens. Outside, different sirens. Federal police. Chief Mrs. Grace relaxed. Right on time. Men in black uniforms stormed in, not local police, federal special units with bigger guns. "Everyone out," their commander ordered. "This is now a federal investigation." "Investigation of what?" Papa David demanded. "Terrorism." The commander said, "We have reports of a terrorist cell operating from this location. All of you are under arrest." The trap was complete. Chief Mrs. Grace had called her higher connections. While they were discovering the transformed children, she was spinning a new story. "Take them all," she ordered. "Especially the girl and her father. They're the ringleaders." Hands grabbed Adoni. Papa David fought, but his bad leg betrayed him. They were separated in the chaos. "Papa! Run, Adoni, run!" But there was nowhere to run. As they dragged Adoni away, she saw Chief Mrs. Grace lean close to the federal commander, saw her slip something into his pocket, saw his eyes glaze over with greed. The last thing she heard before the van doors slammed was Chief Mrs. Grace's voice. "Double the protection on the basement and prepare the special room. The mass sacrifice happens tomorrow night, with or without interruptions, 100 souls to seal the contract forever." Then darkness, as something hit her head. When Adoni woke, she was in a cell. Cold concrete, no windows, and she wasn't alone. 5 other teenagers sat against the walls. All had the same haunted look. All had the same story. They had escaped the transformation before. "She's collecting us," a boy said. His name was Emeka, escaped 3 months ago. "Everyone who got away, everyone who knows the truth, everyone who knows—" "Where are we?" Adoni asked. "Federal facility." A girl answered, "Bucky," her voice bitter, "but Chief Mrs. Grace owns it like she owns everything else." "My father. They took all the parents, different cells, maybe different facilities, keep us separated, keep us scared." Adoni felt the walls closing in. But then she remembered something: Baba Effa's marks on her forehead, the cuts that hid her from spiritual sight. "She can't track us," she said slowly. "She can't use magic on us directly. That's why physical cells." "So," Emeka asked, "so we're not helpless. We're hidden from her spiritual sight, but we can see." "See what?" Adoni closed her eyes and concentrated. Since her transformation, something had changed. She could sense things, feel the spiritual residue. "I can feel them," she whispered. "All the transformed souls, they're crying out. They're in pain." Her eyes snapped open, and there's more. She's gathering power for something massive. "The 100 souls sacrifice," Bucky said. "We heard guards talking. When? Tomorrow night, new moon. When the darkness is complete." They had less than 24 hours, and they were locked in a federal facility. But then footsteps. The door opened. A guard stood there, but his eyes were different. Clear, angry human. "You're Adoni," he said. Not a question. She nodded. "My brother was one of the transformed 2 years ago. I've been waiting, watching, working my way inside." He looked down the corridor. "You have 3 minutes before camera rotation. Why help us?" "Because tomorrow night she plans to sacrifice them all. Every transformed soul in her possession, not just the new ones, the ones she's been keeping for years. Hundreds of them." His voice cracked. "Including my brother." He unlocked the cell. "There's a van outside, keys in the ignition. Your father is in Block C with the other parents. But we don't have time. We can't leave them. You can't save anyone if you're locked up. Go to the old church at Iyana Ipaja. Father Michael, real priest. Not one of her puppets. He's been gathering evidence, building a resistance. What about you? Someone needs to stay inside, feed information. Slow them down. He pushed them toward the exit. Go now, before I change my mind. They ran through corridors that smelled like fear, past cells filled with others who knew the truth, out into a night that felt heavy with coming doom. The van was there as promised, old, unmarked, perfect for disappearing. Can any of you drive? Adoni asked. Emeka raised his hand. My brother taught me before he vanished. They piled in 6 teenagers against an empire of evil. As they drove away, Adoni looked back at the facility. Somewhere inside, her father was locked up. Somewhere in the city, the commissioner's daughter was still a goat. Somewhere, Chief. Mrs. Grace was preparing for mass murder. We need help, Bucky said. Real help, not just priests and concerned parents. Who would believe us? Another girl asked. She owns the police, the government, the media. Then we make them believe, Adoni said, thinking of the walls that bled names. We show them truth they can't deny. How? Adoni thought of the basement full of human goats, of the guard who helped them escape, of all the parents still searching. We break into her compound during the sacrifice, she said. We broadcast it, live on social media. Every phone, every camera, let the whole world see what she really is. That's suicide, Emeka said. Maybe, but doing nothing is murder. The van drove through empty streets toward uncertainty, but in the distance, storm clouds gathered. The battle for Lagos had begun. Father Michael's church was nothing like the prosperity cathedrals, peeling paint, broken windows, wooden pews that had seen better days, but it felt real in a way those golden altars never did. The priest was young, maybe 35, with tired eyes and calloused hands. He didn't seem surprised when 6 teenagers burst in at 2 a.m. Adoni. He said simply, I've been expecting you. You know me? Everyone in the resistance knows you. The girl who came back, the proof that the stories are real. He led them to a hidden room behind the altar. Welcome to the underground. The room was full. People hunched over laptops, others sorting documents. Maps on the walls covered in red marks. Every red mark is a transformation site, Father Michael explained. We've been tracking them for years, but Chief Mrs. Grace is careful, only takes a few from each area. Never enough to cause mass panic. Until now, a woman at a laptop said, she's gotten greedy, the 100-soul sacrifice. She thinks she's untouchable. Maybe she is, Emeka said bitterly. No, Father Michael's voice was firm. Evil only wins when good people do nothing, and we're done doing nothing. He showed them the plan, the federal facility where their parents were held, the compound where the sacrifice would happen, the media contacts ready to broadcast. But we need someone who's been inside, someone who knows the layout. I do, Adoni said, but the transformed, they can't leave without dying. She has them trapped. Unless we break the binding, a new voice said. Baba Efa entered looking older but determined. Baba. Adoni ran to him. How did you escape? Child, I was walking these paths before Chief Mrs. Grace learned to speak. They took me, but walls cannot hold what the earth has blessed. He pulled out a pouch. I've been preparing. The binding can be broken, but it requires sacrifice. What kind of sacrifice? The willing kind. Someone must take the curse into themselves, become the anchor that holds the transformation, then destroy that anchor. That would kill them, Father Michael said quietly. Yes. Silence filled the room, heavy as stone. I'll do it, Adoni said. No. Multiple voices shouted. Listen, she continued. I've been transformed and returned. I understand the magic better than anyone. And I'm young, strong enough to hold it long enough. Absolutely not, Baba Efa said. You have a different role. You must be the witness, the voice that speaks truth. Then who? Me, a voice from the doorway. Everyone turned. Professor Adeyemi Elder stood there, but not alone. Beside him were others who had escaped their transformations over the years, a secret network of survivors. We've lived on borrowed time, he said, survived when others didn't. Now we know why to be here for this moment. All of you, Father Michael asked. 7 survivors nodded. The curse divided among 7 might be survivable, Baba Efa calculated. might each taking part of the weight. Might isn't good enough, Adoni protested. It's what we have, Elder said gently. Child, you gave us hope when you stood in that square and spoke truth. Now let us give others the same chance. The room erupted in planning strategies, contingencies, backup plans. But Adoni felt cold. Too many sacrifices, too much blood. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She almost ignored it. Then answered, "My daughter." Papa David's voice, weak but alive. "Papa, where are you?" "Still in federal custody." "But Adoni, listen, Chief. Mrs. Grace just left. She was gloating, said the sacrifice was moved up. It's not tomorrow night, it's tonight sunset." "What? That's only hours away." "She knows about the resistance, knows you escaped. She's accelerating everything, and Adoni, she has the commissioner's wife. Rita tried to free her daughter alone. Got caught." The line went dead. Adoni turned to the room. "Change of plans, we have 6 hours." The next hours blurred together, hackers breaking into security systems to free the parents, creating diversions across the city to spread police thin, gathering anyone brave enough to storm the compound. But the real preparation was spiritual. Baba Ifa worked with the 7 volunteers, drawing symbols on their skin, teaching them words in languages older than memory, preparing them to absorb a curse that could destroy them. Adoni watched Elder practice the ritual movements. His hands shook, but his resolve was iron. "Are you afraid?" she asked. "Terrified," he admitted. "But I've been afraid since the day I transformed. This time I choose my fear that makes all the difference." By afternoon they were ready, or as ready as anyone could be for war against darkness. The convoy moved at 4 p.m. Not to the front gates, but to a service entrance. A guard in their network had left open 3 vans of volunteers armed with cameras, phones, and desperate hope. The compound looked different in daylight. Normal almost, except for the energy in the air, electric waiting. They split up Team 1 to the basement to break the binding Team 2 to document everything. Team 3 led by Adoni to stop the sacrifice itself. The basement door was guarded, but the guards were human. Chief Mrs. Grace's magic apparently needed conscious servants. They overcame them quickly. Inside, the transformed waited in their cages. Bleating with anticipation, they sensed something coming. Elder and the 6 other survivors formed a circle. Baba Ifa began the ritual. "We call on the earth that remembers. We call on the ancestors who watch. We call on justice delayed but not denied." The air grew thick, power building upstairs. Adoni's team found chaos. The main hall had been transformed into a ritual space, symbols drawn in what looked like blood candles that burned without heat. And in the center, a massive cage. Inside were goats, but not the ones from the basement. New transformations, fresh captures for the special sacrifice. Chief Mrs. Grace stood at an altar wearing robes that seemed to absorb light beside her. Reverend Mother, Patricia chanted from a book that hurt to look at. Around them in a circle stood Lagos's elite, the commissioner pale and sweating, the senator who always preached family values, business moguls who donated to charity by day, all here for the power that came from spilling innocent blood. But there was one person who didn't fit Rita, the commissioner's wife, tied to a pole, still human but marked with symbols. "A special sacrifice," Chief Mrs. Grace announced to her audience. "The mother who dared search for her child, she'll join her daughter in death." That's when Adoni realized the true horror. Rita would be killed human. Her daughter would die as a goat. Neither would transform, neither would have a chance. "Stop!" Adoni burst into the room. Chief Mrs. Grace smiled like she'd been expecting this. "The little hero arrives, record everything," she told someone. "Let them see how their champion fails." Adoni noticed the cameras, then Chief Mrs. Grace's own cameras recording the sacrifice for her powerful clients. "Yes, record," Adoni said loudly. "Record the Chief Mrs. Grace everyone loves, the philanthropist, the pillar of society. Record her sacrificing children, goats." Chief Mrs. Grace corrected. "I sacrifice goats, no law against that." "Then let me pet them," Adoni challenged. "If they're just goats, it shouldn't matter." She walked toward the cage, Chief. Mrs. Grace's eyes narrowed, but with cameras rolling, she couldn't stop her. Adoni reached through the bars, touching a small white goat. The moment their skin met, she felt it. Terror. human terror. A child's fear. Her name is Amara, Adoni said loudly. She's 12, loves to draw, picked up 2,000 naira to buy art supplies. She touched another. David, 15, football player, found money and thought he could buy boots for his team. Another, Fatima, 13, straight, a student, wanted to buy her sick mother medicine. Stop, Chief Mrs. Grace commanded, but Adoni kept going, naming them, telling their stories, making them human for the cameras. Enough! Chief Mrs. Grace raised her hand, and Adoni flew backward, hitting the wall hard. The mask had slipped. The cameras caught it all. You want to see power? Chief Mrs. Grace's voice changed, became something ancient and terrible. I'll show you power. She began the true ritual, then words that made the air bleed, gestures that bent reality. The goats in the cage began screaming, human screams from animal throats. But downstairs, the binding ritual was working. Elder and the volunteers glowed with stolen curse, their bodies accepting the transformation magic, drawing it away from the trapped souls. Now! Father Michael's voice crackled through hidden earpieces. Break the anchor. The 7 volunteers joined hands, power flowing between them, the curse searching for a home. But instead of letting it settle, they pushed it outward, into the walls, the floor. The very foundations of Chief Mrs. Grace's empire. The building shook. What are you doing? Chief Mrs. Grace screamed. Cracks appeared in the floor, spreading like veins. The symbols she'd drawn split apart, and then the transformations began reversing, not just in the basement. All of them, every goat she'd ever changed. In the cage, animals became children, crying, screaming, human again. The elite guests backed away in horror, their faces caught on camera as children emerged from animal bodies. No! Chief Mrs. Grace pulled out a knife, ancient, curved. If I can't have them transformed, I'll have them dead. She moved toward the children, but Adoni was faster. The tackle sent them both rolling. The knife skittered away. They fought not with magic, but with fists. Chief Mrs. Grace was stronger, but Adoni had rage. To be continued. Thank you very much for watching. We have one more amazing episode to go. If you've enjoyed the story so far, please drop a comment below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the bell notification so you won't miss any updates. Thank you, and remember, we love you.